What is up, everyone? I hope you all are doing well today. In today's storage unit video, we'll be going through this unit that I purchased for $330. This storage unit is right next to a super busy road and really close to an airport. And so there's constantly planes flying overhead. So it is super loud outside. So I went ahead and just did the intro in here. That being said, I think we have an antique collector's dream unit today. So let's not wait any longer. Let's go see what's inside. Let's go ahead and take a peek inside this unit. And as you can see by the cobwebs and all the dust, this unit does not look like it's been touched in decades. I'm pretty sure the newest stuff in this unit is about 50 years old, but everything looks absolutely ancient. And I am just hoping we've got some treasures waiting on the inside of this unit for us. The reason I purchased this unit for 330 bucks was for that item right there. It appears to be an old rifle right there. And I am hoping that's not the only weapon we find inside of here. Also, I'm hoping that that's not just a BB gun, but we will have to wait and see. Let's go ahead and start digging through this unit. Here's a cobweb covered pre-lit Christmas tree. If it has been sitting in this non-climate controlled unit for many years, I'm kind of assuming it's not going to work, so this is probably just heading straight to the dump. I will say in a unit like this, there are going to be spiders everywhere, so I do have to watch where I'm going because we do have a lot of brown recluses in my area. That being said, how cool is this rocking chair on wheels right here? This is a company called Rich Toys out of Tupelo, Mississippi. That's a great find right there. Even if this isn't like a crazy collectible, I'm assuming I should be able to get like 15 to 20 bucks for that because that is just a really cool piece right there. I believe this is a different brand, but there's another seated rocking horse right here. Here is a really cool antique aluminum globe. Still in really good shape. It's just a little dusty, like basically everything in this unit. This will be highly resellable. People absolutely love globes. Just seeing this globe makes me curious where you are watching this from currently. I'd love to hear where everyone's viewing this from in the comment section below. So please let me know down there. I really do appreciate you watching all of my videos. Here's a really cool reproduction, of course, of this nice little farm setting. I will say, even if these are really old, these reprints don't resell very well, but still pretty cool. This is awesome. From the listing pictures, it looked like a real oil painting, but now seeing it in person, I can confirm this is a real oil painting. I will have to do my research and see who actually painted this. So it's no Picasso, but hopefully this will have some real value. And here's another one by the same artist as well. With them both being real oil paintings and they both look really nice, I'm kind of assuming we should be able to pay off this entire unit with just these two pieces alone. So great find in here. Unfortunately, another Daisy BB gun. This one's a Powerline 856. That being said, this thing is still very old and a pretty sweet little BB gun. I should be able to get like 25 to 30 bucks for it as long as it works, but unfortunately, no antique rifle. But we've only gone through a fraction of this unit, so maybe there is a hidden rifle or multiple rifles somewhere in the rest of this unit. We'll go ahead and go through this box next. This is a really cool and really dusty mirror right here with a nice eagle there on top. This was made in the USA. This is a 410 Sirocco ink. I'm not exactly sure if it's as old as it looks, but if it is, that may actually have some serious value there. I can clean this up really nicely outside of maybe, I guess, this paint right here, but overall it's in really good shape. Like a little vintage hanging light. Very nice. What is that? Think-A-Dot? It's some sort of antique game, I guess. I'm kind of assuming it's missing something, but pretty cool. Is it a cicada or some sort of dead bug right there? And a really cool coffee mug. And then is this just going to be a ton of really old books? Thad Owen, The White Flower. That one is very old looking. All right, I made a wasp inside the unit, awfully mad. And so I figured I'd let the wasp calm down for a minute and we'll go through one of these containers out here in my car. Is it a juice crevasse or something like that? I actually have no idea what a crevasse is. It just sounded right in the moment saying that, but then once I said it, I'm like, that might not be actually accurate. Got another one of those wheat coffee mugs. What in the world? What kind of candle is that? That is wild looking. That took some time. Even though it looked like it took quite a bit of time to do that, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say this is trash. Very little glass is worth reselling, but occasionally you'll come across some stuff that you want to set off to the side and at least look up. And this is one of those pieces. This may not be worth a whole lot, but honestly, out of anything I've pulled out so far, this is what's going to be worth the most, I would assume, but we will have to wait and see. It says Inarco USA. Nice little green tinted vase. I will look all this stuff up and let y'all know if any of this has any value. I'm not holding my breath, but also I don't want to waste y'all's time looking through a bunch of glassware. That is not why we purchased these units. That being said, if I missed anything that has any value, I will clip it in during editing. All right, we are still in the back of my car because that one wasp got his friends together and they are just out for blood today. And I'm not a huge fan of getting stung. I guess in reality, who is? That'd be kind of crazy. But here are a couple things I found inside the unit that I thought were pretty cool. This little wall hanging of a little fireplace. I think that's just a hard wood. I don't think that's anything special. But here's a super old Oven-X pan. Once again, if you look up pricing of stuff like this on eBay, you'll see one-off sales here and there of legitimate money. Like I saw one for like $29.99 that sold recently. But honestly, unless you're willing to sit on it forever, I'll probably only get like $2 or $3 for that at auction. But still definitely worth keeping since it doesn't take up a bunch of space. And someone out there will want that. And then this is pretty cool. I think that's a little indoor plant sprayer. And then here's a nice Hager pottery bowl right there. It's a nice brand. And one of the more surprising things that do well are these antique mirrors. And there goes an airplane. Between the wasps, the airplanes, this busy road, and it raining on and off today, your boy has had his patience tested, that's for sure. But all that being said, I do think these are milk glasses, I believe. I looked them up off camera, and that's what they're called, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't spend a ton of time looking into them. I saw these on eBay labeled as milk glasses, but you should be able to get like $1 to $3 per glass. All right, as you can see, we've got a couple of super old antique trunks. They're not in the best shape, I will say. So unless they're super rare, kind of assuming I'll probably only get like $25 due to the condition of them. Still pretty cool. And maybe some stuff's in them, but they do kind of feel empty whenever I was pushing on them. And here's some artwork and then a cool puzzle back there. I like that one a lot. Maybe that one's fairly resellable. And then I'm not exactly sure what you call these. This isn't an armoire, but whatever you call this, this is really cool and very old looking. But that's something I'll put on Facebook Marketplace and hope for the best. Maybe I can get like $100 for that because that thing is super old. And then here's a pretty cool old clock right there. And then there's a really old tray with a bunch of creepy looking baby dolls on it. I'm gonna try to move some of this stuff out of the way so we can get to the back part of the unit. Alrighty, and what is this? It says a hi-fi silver tone. That is awesome. A very, very old record player. I do not know what the resale market on these are, but since it's not in great shape, I'll only get like maybe 50 to $100 for that. Probably the coolest piece so far in this unit. I'm not gonna get this out of this box, but this unit was loaded with stuff like this old vintage Astrolight by Hasbro. These toys typically don't sell for as much as you think they would, but occasionally you'll strike gold with stuff like this. This is a Jungle Carnival target range game. So it's kind of like one of the shooting games at like a carnival where you're trying to shoot down the targets. But I've never seen that before, and I thought that was really cool. I just wish it was in a little bit better shape. Here was another antique Royal typewriter. I think I should be able to get like 30 to $40 for that. And then here were a few other odds and ends that I found hidden away in that big antique dresser armoire thing. But here's some jewelry pieces. These definitely aren't really that in anymore, but there are a couple of necklaces right there. And then a Disneykins Sneezy still in its box. Thought that was kind of neat. One of the 7 dwarfs. A box of super old matches. Does anybody know what these rings go to? They all kind of appear like they came from the same thing. I don't know if these were like from a movie or something. And here's the third one right there. But yeah, if you've ever seen these before, let me know. And then here was something kind of wild looking. Chip away cutlery knife. Thought that was really cool. Should be worth, I don't know, 20 to $25. And then here were a couple of kind of unique trays, I thought. Nothing crazy, but kind of cool antique jewelry tray right there. And a nice brass like display plate. Thought both of those were pretty cool. In the same stuff, I did find this Captain Kidd 250 shot box of like poppers or fireworks or whatever. You know what? Let's go see if they work, because I believe they're all in here still. Unfortunately, they do not work any longer. Ooh, we may have just struck gold with this box right here. Let's take a closer look and see what's inside. Uh-oh, we may have something special here. A box full of comics. These are really old too. And obviously comics vary greatly in what they're worth, but I gotta imagine anything old that's Avengers has got to be worth quite a bit of money. So that is a great find there on top. Hopefully there are a lot more Avengers comics. And then there's a Red Rider comic right there. That is really cool. Also very old, 1949. That one's not obviously in as good a shape, but still really cool right there. There's Daffy Duck. I will say I am not the biggest expert on comics. So some of these may be worth a ton of money, and then some obviously won't be worth really much of anything. I'll just lot them all together. But that being said, I'll have my work cut out for me going through all of these comics and seeing what's worth what. One of the best, Bugs Bunny, Hot Rod Hair, really cool stuff. Another Daffy Duck, The World of Bob Hope, that's cool. Some DC Comics, nice. Just a lot of good stuff in here. This has got to be the best box we've gone through so far. Here's another DC comic. Since we have this huge box of comics, why don't we do this as today's giveaway? So how to enter to win a comic out of this box. First, like this video. Second, subscribe to my channel. And third, comment below your favorite comic book of all time. For today's giveaway, since we have so many comics in here, I will pick 5 total winners. So good luck on this giveaway. And let's finish off this storage unit. That's a cool Looney Tunes comic. Walt Disney's Cinderella, wow. Some of these may have some value, especially the ones in better shape. There's an early The Incredible Hulk comic. All that being said, I'm gonna take this home and go through them and see what's worth what. And if any are worth a crazy amount of money that I didn't show off already, I will show them off once I get back home. But that is really, really cool. I just don't wanna go through 1,000 comics here in this storage unit while I'm sweating. I'd say easily the best find we've had so far. Thought this was a cool old aluminum car. Thought that was pretty nice. And it's actually in pretty good shape too. This is pretty cool. Still in its original box. This is a Starfinder. It includes a 3-section tripod. Still got everything in there. Just a really unique unit that we got today. That is for sure. All right, and what is going on with this box? Oh, got an old stamp collection. What is this? So many weird things in here. Presidential party contest. Interesting. Never seen that before. Ooh, the world's greatest collection of clean jokes. Let's pick out a clean joke to tell. These are something else. I saw a hippie running after a garbage truck this morning, yelling, "Taxi." Those are some funny jokes. The 1959 baseball story prepared by Sports Illustrated. That's pretty cool. I am an avid sports memorabilia and sports card collector. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That is really cool. That'll definitely be resellable. There are a bunch of used stamps in here. I have not the slightest clue for what I'm looking for with stamps. Obviously, I know people absolutely love collecting stamps, and some stamps can be worth a small fortune. I just honestly have no idea what I'd even be looking for. I'll look some of these up and let y'all know if any of them are worth anything, and obviously show those off, but I'm not gonna do that here in the storage unit. I'll take them back home and check them out there. But that was another cool box. Another box of really old stuff. It's like some sort of a wreath or something. Very old puzzle. And then other than that, a bunch of cutouts for some reason, and then like a train set in there. Nothing I don't think really of serious value though. And look at this. A signal corpse frequency meter. I'm assuming that's just basically what it says. You're measuring the frequency of something. That is really cool and really old. I don't know if that's going to be resellable or not, but surely someone would give a $20 bill for that. It could be way off though. But really, other than that, all we have left are a bunch of old toys, like those old blocks, some old dishes and stuff, a few older purses and other toys up there. But that's really it for this unit. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite item was in today's video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we'll see you next time. Stay radical.